We've heard of the buzzword by this point, ascending, the idea of self-improving to the point where you're ascending, you're better than anyone else, you're kind of glowing up in a new way here, and it's a very difficult thing to accomplish, but a lot of people have been able to pull this off in the last few years. But the money questions are like, is this process actually worth taking the time to try and quote-unquote ascend? I mean, is that even possible? And I think that's just what everybody wants to know. And in my opinion, we live in a world now where you either have it or you don't, and I think this just sets up for some to ascend, and maybe this is why it's become so popular, because there are a lot of people that have been able to jump from rags to riches, so to speak, or things were just really not working out for them but suddenly are. Like, there's a lot of random people that have kind of risen through the ranks all of a sudden and really come onto the scene, and everybody knows their name after they were pretty much nobody a year back. But I still feel like the main issue with ascending and where it falls short, and just kind of this idea that you can self-improve to this mega level, I guess it's like, it just really depends your situation and where you actually start. I think it's easier to work on what you want to do if you have that ability. So if you can't focus on what you want to do, it's just going to be really difficult for you. And a good example is if you have to focus on the money you need to eat tonight, it's really hard to worry about building your real estate empire. And this is why a lot of people, let's say if you're born in poverty, it's a good predictor that you could stay in poverty, or if you're born to be enriched, you have a very wealthy family, you're more likely, of course, to stay that way and be able to use the resources around you to elevate your life to an even greater spot. But ascending, of course, is really breaking boundaries, and specifically speaking of young men too, that's kind of the journey that I think ascending is wrapped around. But there really is a lot of improving that can be done in your social life, and this is where I think everybody can kind of ascend to some degree. I believe that this is something you can improve on if you really put time into it, and there's a lot of things that go into what your social life is. There's no doubt about that. I mean, a lot of people in the black pill sphere have made honestly solid points about the way you look and the way you're treated, and then of course the way people are going to engage with you from there on out. So that really does impact your social life, but it still doesn't mean you absolutely can't have one just because you're not checking these boxes. And to some degree, everyone is handicapped more than the past in having a good social life. And so even if you actually have a greater following on social media, it doesn't feel like everything is as real now. People, you go home, you kind of sit, you might work at home, you don't really go and interact with people. It's not as much of a necessity because you can do it online. So in a lot of ways, people have worsening social lives, even if you're somebody that's actually quote unquote would be looked at socially as having a big following on media or something. So there's a lot of ways that everybody is kind of descended in this category, but you do really want to work on this and find a way to just have a rich gathering of friends that you can hang out with, and that can really be somewhere I believe you can ascend if you put the time and effort into really trying to go out and meet people, rather than probably what most people do, and that's kind of sit there and just go about your day-to-day habits and really just focus on what you're doing and never try to get outside your comfort zone. But I also believe even in the financial status, it is possible to really improve this area if you can come up with a great business, and that's probably the biggest key. This seems to be the best way to make money. I mean, unless you have some type of easy path doing so otherwise, like, not to single them out, but I mean, if you're really an attractive girl, you have certain assets, that's worth a lot of money, especially doing content right there, let's be honest. But overall, the financial state, if you can be somebody that gets the ball rolling with a business, that can really take you to the next level, no matter where you are and no matter kind of what's going on. If something clicks for whatever reason, it really can work out. And of course, on the other side, most businesses fail, most things don't work out, but it's just those that do. It doesn't seem like it's always from somebody that absolutely had everything beforehand, or that's not always the case. And the weird part of ascending now is that it feels more possible for anybody to drastically improve their conditions, and honestly, a lot of success is almost random, and that's something that I've explained in other videos. There's plenty of people that, again, they just seem like they come out of nowhere. You have no idea why they're even famous, but they just end up being famous. They have a lot of money. Everything seems to be working out for them. But at the same time, when you actually look at the overall numbers, it's kind of like the people you'd expect to be struggling are, and then the people you expect to be winning are as well. And honestly, it feels like there are less and less people winning and just more and more people struggling, and that's kind of the the flip side of ascending and people's ability to do it. I don't know that it's that easy. I don't know that it's gotten any easier despite all the examples here in 2026. And maybe a good example of this as well is the uneven distribution financially that we're seeing in a lot of countries, especially in the West. There's a few people with almost all the money and everybody else with only some of the money or little of the money, and that ends up creating this uneven distribution where we see a lot of the problems with the economy now. But I would say, again, overall, you do have to wonder if the ability to ascend in your life or massively improve is almost like a funhouse mirror. When I bring that up, you're going to be looking back at a distorted image, and there's just kind of that appearance that with the age we live in, with everybody being able to communicate with each other at any time, that anybody can make it because there are just all types of weird characters doing well for doing weird stuff. However, it feels like you have it all or have nothing, and being in between is like a sentence to struggle. So let me know what you guys think. A lot of random thoughts here, but overall, I always believe that you do have to give as much effort as possible into making yourself and in your life the best that it can be, but it's definitely worth thinking about the other side of the coin and if there's really a limit for most people. Stay tuned for more videos that are going to be out soon here on PM Games.